So the speculation is that Kirk Ferentz may step down after this year. And I don't know, based on like his reactions and just his emotions on the sideline, he seems like he is kind of like taking it all in. So if he was, who do you think should replace Kirk Ferentz?
So here's the thing, Shub. You brought up a good point. Getting out now is a good time for Ferentz because everyone that's coming in, it's going to be very hard for Iowa to compete, and the dissolution of the Big Ten West. So, Iowa can't take advantage of that weak side of the division, just being the best in that weak side of the division to play in the championship game. So if you're Iowa and you want to be relevant, I think the best thing that you got to do is you got to go for a home run hire. You got to go for a big dog. You have to use that Big Ten money to get a big dog and try to elevate your program. It's really all you can do if you want to compete. Now, you could try to stay in-house, maybe elevate Phil Parker because he is a true wizard and everything that he's done. But if I'm Iowa, I'm going for a big name, man. I'm calling around. I'm trying to make a big splash, and I'm just seeing who's willing to take that Big Ten paycheck.
I think it's a guarantee that they're going to go after an offensive guy, right?
I would hope so.
With what their fans have had to deal with for
absolutely. I would hope so,
now.
But what if Phil Parker's like, dude, like I've been sitting here saving our season every week. You're not gonna make me the head coach? Like,
that's actually a great point.
Yeah, what if Phil Parker's like, dude, promote me to head coach or I'm out? Like, what the hell, man? Like, I've been winning us like every game.
That's actually a great point, man. I didn't really think about that, but yes, I think Phil Parker definitely deserves to be the head coach there. Like, he more than deserves it. So I'll put it this way. I wouldn't be mad if I was an Iowa fan. I wouldn't mind him being elevated to head coach, but I think you would have to make sure, if you're like the AD, you would be like, hey bro, you need to hire an elite offensive mind, like a modern day savvy offensive coordinator that's going to completely transform the offense. Like that's a must. That's like part of the requirements to hiring you. I think if you're the coach and if you're a defensive guy, you're going to have to hire a savvy offensive mind, kind of like what Venables did at OU. Venables is a defensive head coach, but he went out and hired Jeff Lebby, and Lebby's runs the offense. I think it's going to have to be like that sort of that type of criteria for Parker to become the new head coach there.
Yeah, it's true. And I don't suspect that Phil Parker will become the head coach, although I do think that his performance is kind of deserving of it. But some people are better as coordinators than they are as coaches. We've seen that time and time again, that some people are just meant to be coordinators. But I will say, I think Iowa's going to try to make a splash, man. If I were the Iowa Hawkeyes AD, I'm making a splash. I'm getting a well-known name. I can't think of any at the top of my head right now. I'll have to really dive down and look at it and see who's available. But I would really look at a well-known name because recruiting matters. And you're going to have to get in the game to compete with Oregon, Washington, USC, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. The field just got tougher for you. So it's time to step up.
Even with the new field, though, do you think Iowa is a top half program / job in the Big Ten?
Well, considering that the Big Ten's a pretty big conference, I would put them in the top half. But I wouldn't put them in like the upper fourth.
Well, we got Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. This is all teams that are going to be ahead of them. Those three.
Oregon, Washington, USC. And then I think like Wisconsin, Iowa are like right there.
I'd throw Michigan State in the same ring.
Yeah, okay.
Especially Michigan State hired Jonathan
Wisconsin,
Smith.
Iowa.
I don't know, man. Now that Michigan State's hired Jonathan Smith,
I would put Michigan State a little higher, yeah. And then you've got Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa, and then maybe Nebraska. So like they're right there. They're in that top half, but not by much.
I think it's even debatable whether they're in the top half. I think they're somewhere in that middle tier. I think you could put them in the top half of the middle tier or the bottom half of the middle tier. Either way, they're stuck there. I wouldn't consider them like a bona fide top half job / program in the new Big Ten.
Well, Shub, just at the top of your head, who are some candidates that you think might be decent fits for the Iowa job if it does come open?
Yeah. So this may be out of left field, but I actually think Dan Mullen would be a good fit at Iowa because he's a very good offensive coordinator. He's, in terms of running a program, I wouldn't say he's the best, but at a place like Mississippi State, he did very well. I think If recruiting is more so transactional and NIL based, I think he would like that because he doesn't like to recruit. But he is guaranteed to put points on the board and have a very good offense. And every few years or so, he'll put together a good team that could at least make a run at a New Year's Six Bowl or like a 10-win season or a college football playoff berth. Because I got to think now in terms of 12-team playoff. I'm sorry, I don't think Iowa. I honestly don't know if Iowa's ever going to win the Big Ten again in the new landscape. In fact, they probably won't. But I think you have to start recalibrating it and thinking to yourself, okay, I think Iowa's ceiling now is maybe winning 9-10 games and like sneaking in as an at-large in the college football playoff. I think that's their new ceiling. And I think every 2, 3, or 4 years, a Dan Mullen type of head coach could build that team that could do that for them.
I mean, we'll talk more about it, especially this is all mute if Ferentz does not step down, but if he does step down, we will talk more about this next week. But yeah, it's definitely something worth keeping track of and noting, because this might be Ferentz's last game, this championship game. So we'll see.
Well, and the bowl game, but yeah,
we'll see. Some coaches have been stepping down before then, but we'll see.